Yeah. Thank you. Right, so I'll leave the waiting room now to other people who are from TPAS here. Thank you. Oops, let's not get back onto our own stuff. So welcome to this particular boat. It's quite a unique one, this one. I think it's our 4th year, Akshita, is it? I should have said, by the way, Akshita is the main author for this one. She did the research, did the analysis, and she's going to concentrate on the actual findings. I'll just do that sort of introduction about where and why we wanted to do this one. But yes, our 4th year doing this, just tracking the trends around this really important subject about energy efficiency and affordable warmth, as it says. The report is live now on our website, and I'm sure somebody will from TPAS will put it in the chat in a minute. If not, I'll do it once Akshita starts talking. But it is live in a full report, which is quite long, in English and Welsh, and there's also a summary version as well. So we'll put that in there in a minute. I think most of you know what is Tenant Pulse. It's our national platform for getting tenant voices and experiences. We have a number of them now, annual ones, specific ones. We did one in January. Elizabeth, who's on this call, ran about homelessness. But the energy efficiency, the annual survey, and I think rent is now becoming an annual one as well, by the fact that we've done it 2 years in a row and we plan to do it again this year. So there are certain subjects that are the core: energy efficiency, rent, and also what matters to tenants. So there's also something new here. We've created, I'm not sure how the name came out, TPAG, but we've got a group of tenants. We want to make Pulse more responsive for tenants, have more tenant input into the research in the first place and the findings. And Elizabeth has put together a group of volunteers. I must say they were volunteers, and thank you, you're one of them, just to help develop that material, develop what we're finding with this subject. And so how we promote it, there's people who are on a database who've signed up, who want to be sent it. They were sent that the survey. We have social landlords, councillors, different groups to promote it. And we use social media as well. And that works really well. And that gets a certain amount. But we also want to get more diverse voices. We want to get more younger voices, especially in the private rental sector. And so to do that, we run some targeted adverts. We use the Meta platform in this case. It varies each time, but we used Facebook adverts mainly this time, targeting certain ages, certain locations, just to make that balance, to make sure it's representative. We also tried some stuff with Reddit as well, but it didn't work as well this time compared to last time on the homelessness one. And I think that's part of TPAS, is test and learn, trying different new platforms to get more voices, to get better insight.
When are you doing the next homeless one? Because I actually meet with quite a few people each week in Aberystwyth.
We won't be doing that for a bit now, just because we're waiting for the results of Welsh Government. We've given them our evidence. We're waiting for them to come back. But I will let you know, Bill, on that. No problem. No problem.
Right.
Okay. So these were some of the adverts we ran, if those are interested. And as I say, this is the 4th one. And why we do this is we want to get that tenant voice on these changing behaviours, finance, and what are the challenges as well, and what tenants' view of that. I'm not going to go through the methodology now. It's all in there. But there's a number of questions. 758 responders. It goes up year on year, the amount of people responding on this one. There is some changes though. Some people.
On my laptop, I'm going to have to email it. Sorry, David.
Sorry. Nope, that's
just save it on the shared, Helen.
David, Helen, we can hear you. Don't even know that. So the report, when you see it in full, is in 4 sections. What I'm actually just going to go through now about who's answering, what type of things, how they see it, attitudes, and also their consumption and how they view decarbonising homes. So I'm not going to dwell on that because it's a bit heavy and a bit boring. What we'll do is get into some of the analysis now. I think I'll hand over in a second to Akshita, but just so you know, there's still a lot of housing association responding, which is good. We want that. I'm glad now we're starting to see more private landlords, more local authority, more supported housing tenants. When we first started Pulse, it was probably at about 80% housing association. And as we built up the other areas and got more people to respond, I feel it's much more balanced now. And the age groups as well. This is an interesting one because it looks like, oh, there's a big bias towards 60 plus. And there is generally, this is what happens in surveys, but there's a massive difference in the responses between private and social housing. So in social housing, and we've seen this in other pulses, the actual people under 30, it should say 29, that 18 to 29, was only 4%. But when you look at private rental sector, 30%, 29% there were under 30. So it makes it interesting reading the reports as to where different views of younger people versus older people, social housing versus private rental sector. And that's part of the nature of this work. It makes it get some real wide range of insight. And I think also last year we were quite disappointed with the diversity of some of our that net zero one. We did a lot more work this time, reaching new places, advertising at different places. And I say 5.4% of tenants identified as from a Black Asian minority background. And that was quite an increase on last year. But age is a significant factor. Under 30s had much stronger response in underrepresented groups compared to over 60s. So, and I think that reflects probably society as well. So, over to you, Akshita, I think, if you...
Yeah, I will just share my screen now.
So, do you want me to stop sharing and you go up? Okay. People still coming in?
I hope you can see my screen.
Yep, it's on full view. Yep.
So, very good afternoon, and thank you so much for taking out the time and understand about the interesting findings we had from this year's Tenant Pulse on net zero. It was intentional to sort of name affordable warmth because we do reflect on how tenants perceive net zero, and decarb is the term which we felt over the period of time is not really the best way to put net zero findings and solutions. And so we made an effort and named this as affordable warmth and energy efficiency. I'd quickly jump on to section 2 findings, where we asked about climate change. And it was a question which we essentially asked to get like a control or like a feature, understand about renters' attitudes, and began by asking how concerned are they about climate change. And this also gave us a very useful filter to understand more about the themes we found in the later survey. So we asked how concerned, and 60% of all the respondents said they're very concerned about climate change, which was a very strong figure. Under 30s were the most concerned, while 80% were very concerned, and fewer than 10% as not concerned. In terms of 2022 to 2024, there were no significant movement across the options, and the level of concern about climate change remains really high. The next one was on heating affordability, and the reason behind that was in April 2022, when the energy bill sat an average of 2,000 a year, the Welsh government estimated that over 600,000 households in Wales were living in fuel poverty. Now, that's about 45% of the country, and worryingly, that includes virtually all of the Wales lower income households. To sort of gain understanding about the importance aspect of the tenant's experience about the affordability of the heating cost, we asked the tenants about how do they feel about the affordability of the heating. And 72% of the respondents felt that the heating or the running cost of the heating was unaffordable. Now, this was a very, very stark number, and only 12% agreed that the cost is affordable. Which is again a very, very small figure. And the majority of all the age groups that find the heating cost is unaffordable were from older or 60 plus and the middle age groups, which also gave us a very interesting thing point of why do young responders find the energy cost is slightly more affordable than the older responders. It can be different reasons, including older generation looking at the energy cost over the period of time, or the kind of houses living, but it definitely gives us a very interesting thinking point of why the older generation or the middle-aged group find the affordability of the heating cost as expensive.
Can we just, if anyone's got any views on that, put them in the chat and maybe we'll come to them at the end. I've got my views on why younger people maybe it's more heat. I also think younger people have just been used to it being always expensive. You know, I'm one of the older sections who remember when gas and electric wasn't a significant bill compared to others. So I think it's about what you're used to as well.
Definitely, it is a very great thinking point which we noticed, and there was a stark difference between how the younger and the older generation look at the affordability of the heating cost. Next up is EPC chart, which I assume a lot of people have seen, and we had some really interesting findings on this. In fact, we had a series of questions on EPC which had a deeper thinking behind it. But just to give you like a brief understanding of what EPC really is, it's a chart. It's an energy efficient certificate for your home, ranking from A, which is the best, to G, which is the least efficient. You wouldn't want a EPCG home for sure. And all the properties in the UK are required to have a valid EPC before a new tenant moves in. And so we asked, have you seen a chart like this before? And to my very good happiness, enjoy 92% of total respondents said that they've seen this chart. We then asked, do you know your EPC rating? And only 29% people said that they knew their EPC rating. Now, this was very, very upsetting, but we had some details to this. The occupancy type, which had the highest amount of awareness on the EPC rating, was PRS. The age group was 18 to 30, and the awareness about the EPC then links to climate change because all of this then adds up. Just as David said, the younger group is from PRS. They were also very concerned about climate change, which then overlinks or links with their awareness about EPC. But then if you look at this to the 60 plus age group, they were equally concerned about climate change, but they had limited awareness on EPC rating, which then brings us to an understanding that there still needs to be engagement, different kind of information, lifestyle variation, which then impacts how people and how much people are aware about their EPC rating.
And I add something on there as well, actually, sorry. I've thought about this a lot, about why do private renters know their EPC more. I think, although the legislation is nowhere near as good enough for my liking, it does get mentioned in the adverts, it does get mentioned in the paperwork, things like that, much more than I feel social housing listings do. People going into social housing through emergency accommodation, things like that, aren't concerned about their EPC at that point. They need a roof over their head, so there's a more awareness around that private rental sector. I think there's much more we can do on that, to make people aware so they're making informed choices of which property to pick or which property might be best for them. Okay.
And I think going forward, when we speak so much about affordable warmth and energy efficiency, EPC is essentially the first few things which people should be really aware about. And so in our series of questions on EPC awareness, we also asked respondents what they think their EPC rating is. And EPCD was the most reported rating with 21% responses, while EPCA was least common at just 2%. Housing associations had the highest number of respondents with EPCA, while the local authority tenants reported EPCG ratings. In terms of the Black or minority ethnic background, did not score anything in EPCA, B, or G, and they were mostly placed between C and D, which was really good to know. Under 30s were mainly confident to guess and know their EPC rating again here.
This is a self-perception thing, isn't it? It's what you think it is. We know there's a housing association that claims every property is C and above already. Yeah, we know their tenants were saying, oh, I've got a D or an E. I think there's an issue there about transparency and people being aware of the type of home they're living in.
In our series of EPC questions, we were also very keen and curious to understand how much of this is being converted to the buying decisions or how people buy products. And so to understand the influence of EPC ratings, we asked tenants about, does that influence you? And 46% people said yes, indicating that EPC ratings does influence on how they look at the market. Do they buy products looking at the EPC? For example, if you go out and buy a television because it has EPC C over EPC G, so 46% people said that yes. 24% people said they would like to consider, but price remains a very key factor. Now, this is probably like a half of the percentage, but really highlights that even though EPC is impactful, the cost still remains a very critical concern and perhaps a driving factor in itself. Under 30s and Black minority ethnic groups here were least likely to be influenced by EPC. Going forward, we had a list of options to choose in terms of the sustainability adoptions. And this question in general reflected a broader objective, which is also outlined in the WHQS, or the Welsh Housing Quality Standards. It supports integration of sustainable and energy efficient practices in social housing. And so we asked if they would be interested in having a smart meter installed. We also gave them options to choose from, including you've already got one, you'd be happy to have one, and so on. 61% of the respondents said they've already had a smart meter. Now, this was a very strong positive number, and it was really good to see. However, 7% welcomed having one. 2% were interested, but they wanted more information first. Another 7% recognized the benefits, but they had some concerns, which we'd also discuss in the comments ahead. And 19% said they were not in favor at all. In terms of who had the maximum adoption of the smart meters, which I'd like to say this is not a smart meter. This is an IHD. A smart meter would be outside or perhaps in a cabinet in your home. So, but coming back to the point, in terms of who had these smart meters in their homes, in maximum were supported housing tenants with 67%, and social housing in general had the largest or the highest adoption at 63%, and private landlords at 54%. In terms of the comments, we had a variety of comments for smart meters, which we'd definitely like to do a session on because there needs to be more education. And I think the benefits of smart meters can be enhanced if the installation challenges, technical, contractual, and the misunderstandings which you can perhaps see in these comments be addressed. The last one is from our tenant advisory group, which David mentioned in advance, and that is on a very, very important factor on the prepayment. And I think such topics and such challenges definitely needs a session in alone.
Can I add to that? Yeah. So the comments that somebody made from our CPAD group were really important. They give us a lot of insight into some of the issues and horrors of prepay and to smart meters. And I was very, very grateful for their comments. And we've discussed it, and I think there's certainly a follow-up we need to do on that. Bill, can I just hold you for a sec, just to actually get through the material, and then I'll come to you. Yeah, no problem.
In terms of the other details for smart meters, we also found some interesting findings where we had private landlord tenants demonstrating the most openness. So even though they had limited adoptions, we found that they were equally keen to have a smart meter installed in future. The Black and minority ethnic responders, 50% less likely to have a smart meter installed. Now, going on to the next option or the next sustainability adoption we offered in the survey, which was a water butt. I was personally very excited to see the results and kind of surprised that we had 72% people supporting installing a water butt. Now, this was personally a very important question because it's also again mentioned in the WHQS. It's a feature, and we wanted to understand what people really feel about it, what is the attitude, and only a small minority, 9%, were not supportive of having installed a water butt. However, there were some challenges which we noticed, including the space constraints, where 12% were supportive, but just because of the insufficient space, they could not opt for it. PRS tenants at first glance gave us a feel that they're not keen, but it was primarily driven because of the limited space. In retrospect, we also felt that we should have given an option of you've already got one, because 7.5% people said that they've already got a water butt installed in their place. We had some lovely comments on WaterBuds as well, including on shared spaces, responsibility concerns, health and safety concerns, which then highlights that in order to have these things on WHQS, we definitely need tailored solutions because people are coming from different backgrounds and, including the shared spaces. And there seems to be a great support in terms of WaterBuds, which we just saw in the first slide, 72% saying that they want. But because of these concerns, we need a tailored solution. Going on to another section, which was on landlord communication. Now, landlords are taking innovative routes of communication and engagement with their tenants, and we wanted to understand what form of communication has been going on most in terms of net zero. This becomes more important with WHQS and also becomes important because we've seen objectives which are aimed specifically on achieving affordable warmth. And to understand more, we began by asking, has your landlord communicated with you about net zero improvements? But we just found that 88% of the total respondents claimed not to have received any form of communication from their landlord. Now, this includes work that is planning or work that might be done, and this is also an increase from last year by 2%. This was perhaps the strongest figure we had in our survey, and it was very upsetting and concerning at the same time to see that 88% of the tenants say that they've not received any communication from their landlord on net zero improvements. So who received this communication then? Unsurprisingly, housing association and local authority tenants had the highest percentage of the respondents who answered yes to the communication. Private rented sector had the lowest percentage with just 7%, stating that they received no net zero communication. In terms of age group, 31 to 44 scoring the lowest at 6.5, and the highest came from the Black and minority ethnic group who reported having net zero communication. So taking a step back from landlord communication and then understanding who do you trust and who is then the trusted figure, who is having the tenant's trust, because transitioning from gas to electric will require significant efforts for tenants to understand these new systems and utilize them effectively to bring out their full potential. So who is that trusted explainer? So we asked, if you were to have a new heating system in your home, who would you trust to explain how to use it? And here what we found, the trusted explainer, 63% felt it was the manufacturer, followed by landlord, online expert, friend, family, and other sources. It was very interesting to know that older or the social housing tenants were more likely to trust a landlord or a manufacturer here. In terms of the communication, how do we really format it? And what is the best way to communicate it then if we found the trusted explainer? And we found that 62% favor a manual, followed by live demonstration, online resources, and so on. The how still remains, but these figures should definitely help us in making a way forward and what type of information should then be used to effectively communicate. There was also an age divide or a learning preference where we felt that over 60 or the older generation felt that printed manuals and jargon-free manuals are way more effective for them, unlike 18 to 30 or the younger tenants, which had more preference for the how to do videos or the digital resources. So in the coming years, we will be installing new heating systems. You will be seeing new technologies, including solar panels, heat pumps, making thermal improvements to achieve that affordable warmth. So we asked respondents which upgrades would they prefer in their homes over the next decade, aiming to better understand their preferences. But this question presented pictures of affordable warmth technologies, including solar panels, heat pumps, batteries. The idea was just to understand what tenants are aware about, and this was unprompted and based purely on the current awareness. So we do believe that the limited knowledge or the bias could influence the answers purely because they might be having more information about one option than the others. And here's what we found, the tenant preferences for the future heating systems. There was the maximum for solar panels, followed by exterior interior insulation, heat pumps, followed by infrared and batteries with very little percentage, and 6% did not prefer to have anything which we offered. Lastly, there is a big question everywhere on who is going to pay for net zero. In a recent report I read by FutureGen, it is estimated that 14.7 billion is needed by 2030 to retrofit homes in Wales. So who is going to pay for it, and how is this being paid for? Do we raise rents, or does the Welsh government brings more funding? And so we asked tenants where they thought this money should come from. And we found, so I'll repeat the question we asked. How would you feel, and how much would you feel comfortable in paying increased rent for a low energy cost home? Because this is also something which is explored in a number of reports to understand if the energy efficiency should be factored into the social rent. And only 45% of the people felt that they should not have to pay for a low carbon home. 23% said they would pay for the higher rents if there was a guarantee that the energy savings would exceed the rent increase. And 24% people said they do not trust the energy savings would be more than their rent increase. Now, this is very concerning because, as you can see, there is a gap, there is a concern, and there is a lack of trust in the new technologies that it would increase their savings. So, the key conclusions now. Achieving net zero would cost us billions of pounds, but it would just be an absolute waste if the tenants are not given the communication, if they're not told how to bring out the full potential instead of looking for new heating technologies. And that should really be on the top of our list. Adoption of smart meters, water butts, and new smart technologies would again be a point of advantage if it's being communicated, and if the barriers such as installation concerns are really communicated well and these obstacles are being taken care of. Third, there is a level of distrust which we saw in this report very clearly, from the communication to the last one I discussed on the rents. And there needs to be more of the trust build up, and lack of communication from the landlords can be really, really harmful on this point. Now, everyone is unique. Every tenant has its own needs. We live in different styles, and there needs to be this understanding that everybody is unique and we need different kind of things to be taken care of, diverse people, tailored solutions. And the last one, communication. We need more of that. We need to speak more to the tenants, and we need to do better as a sector. So what does TPAS recommend after the report? We want more case studies. We want more of things to be shared with the tenants, with the people in the public domain. It should be learning through the tenant experience, and it should be everybody on the journey and not just few people. Landlords should be communicating more with the tenants from the beginning, not after the technology is installed, not in the middle of it, but before it and after it and throughout the journey. There should be more partnerships with responsible organizations to understand more about smart meters. All of these technologies and all of these smart technologies would be useless if they're not being told well. So there should be more partnerships, seminars, and ways through which we can communicate that. We also strongly recommend developing relationships with tenants about decarbonization of their homes through seminars and through different platforms. So what are our steps, and what is TPAS going to do? Focus groups. I did not mention that because I was saving it for later. We also asked tenants if they'd like to form a group on tenant net zero. And it was really, really nice to see a large number from previous year. 185 people or tenants gave us the details. And we will be forming a focus group on net zero very, very soon, where we will be discussing new technologies, taking your experiences, talking about what landlords are bringing, the good practices, not just the good practices, but also the fallouts, the challenges, the problems, so that we can all be on this journey together. We will be also sending out the report and all of the details of the survey to our tenants. I have personally sent the report and details to the Welsh Government, members of the Senate, and also the housing staff members, so that we can sort of see these findings in the future planning and make a difference. Presentations, we are looking very closely into ways we can make this survey stand out and have these findings really make a difference. I was also in touch with Climate Cymru, and I will be looking forward to sort of take these findings ahead and present in front of their advisory group. We also have a very exciting week coming up, Net Zero Week, starting June 17th. It's a week full of excitement, learning, affordable warmth, 9 sessions packed with knowledge. We won't overwhelm you because we are TPAS Cymru. We won't overwhelm you at all. It would be simple to understand, digestible. We've brought people from Welsh Government, and we really, really look forward to seeing you there. We have sessions for almost everyone. So even if you're not interested to learn about retrofit, you'll find something for yourself. So make sure that you visit our website and know more about it. And lastly, we are very interested to know your views on this report and what action you took as a result. And here's the last slide from my side, and a very, very big congratulations to our winners.
That's great. Do you want to come off that slide? So there's a lot to take in there, but you've obviously got the chance to ask Akshita as the author. If there's anything you want to ask, or is there any particular comments? Bill, you had your hand up right from the beginning, I think, through the whole session. So
Yeah, because you're
first?
talking about the smart meters.
Yep.
I've got one in my place, and at first I thought, ask it a question, it won't give you an answer, so it's not that smart, is it? Right, well, at the end of the day, I was having problems because I'm autistic and I've got brain damage as well as my youth. Now, I couldn't read the meters. I certainly couldn't get 3 different readings, which was necessary because I'm on economy 7 as well. So there was 3 different operating that machine in the shed. Nah. So what I had is I did arrange with Scottish Power that I would have a meter reader come around.
Mm.
Now, for some time, that did work a couple of times, but then suddenly no meter reader coming. And I kept getting letters telling me that it's not accessible and that I've got to allow it to be accessible. They know I've got the meter. And when I eventually got hold of the member staff at the Scottish Power, I sat down with them and said, look, right, you've got the meter, you know exactly what I'm using, you know how to do my bill from there. So why all this hassle? Oh yeah, we'll put you down as a vulnerable person.
Yeah.
God, me vulnerable? Come on, give me a break. But yes, at the end of the day, that service is available if you talk to them. Now, I did write in the messages like about how many of you listen to Mr. Lewis on his radio, on his TV shows. They are fantastic, I promise. Right? Go in touch with your water board, your electricity supplier, your telephone, your broadband, all of that lot, right? Talk to them and say, look, I want to be on a social tariff.
Yeah.
£15 a month.
Yeah. There's a number of deals, certainly on broadband and stuff like that around, isn't there?
Yeah. Now, bear in mind that BT are transferring over to EE, right? i.e. all the cable formats going off now, it's all gone digital. However, what BT's already got in place is staying in place. And my agreement with BT ran out. Yeah, couldn't catch it. It was too fast out the door. Anyway, it ran out about 4 months ago. So I had a very good chat with them. And what that means then is a continuum.
Yeah.
I've also got a message, and I do recommend to each and every one of you, get in touch with them and get a message sent out to you that their responsibility is to cover your telephone lines, etc., will be the same as it was before. It is still engaged as a contract.
Yeah, I think, Bill, I'd have to interrupt you there because I know Mel's put on the side that he couldn't get a social tariff of Virgin Media. I think we're looking for some students in the summer to do some work for us. So I might put that on the potential list of who does. There must be somebody out there who's already done some research on who's got social tariffs, electricity, gas, things like that. So certainly I'll put that on the list of something for a research student to do over the summer for us. So that's not that far away now. We're in mid-May, so we'll get going on that. Thank you for that, Bill. Does anybody else want to? Sorry, anyone else want to put George?
Just turn my mic and camera on.
No problem.
What I've noticed is if you're on the social tariff, they won't let you have full fibre.
Oh,
So I think you know you need to
that's what I mean. I want to have a look at them as
try
subjects
and
and
put
see.
pressure on them to allow the full fibre to go under social tariff.
Yeah, I've been around long enough to know there's no
everyone's
such
got
thing.
to switch to full fibre by
Yeah.
2025 anyway.
I'll have a look on this subject because, like I said, I've been around long enough to know there's no such thing as a free lunch. So there's always a catch somewhere in this. So I'll have a look. Yeah.
I would dearly like to upgrade to full fibre, but they won't let me.
No problem. And I've noticed an offer of help there from Rachel from One Wales. So I appreciate that. We'll be in touch and we'll have a chat. Good.
David, I think Grace asked what are social tariffs. So if you could quickly summarize it for
I think social tariffs are just special offers for people in social housing. It's not quite as simple as that, and it's not always, but a number of places do have special deals. I've seen them more on broadband, to be fair, rather than electricity and gas, but they do exist. And we'll get something out. Yeah. Oh, so it's not just social housing, anyone. Sorry, Rachel clearly knows more about this subject than I do, which is why been on my list of we need to get somebody to.
If you contact
something like
Mark
this.
Lewis yourself, he'll send you an email with all the information on it.
Yeah.
I get them every week, so.
Cool. There's people like Martin Lewis must have stuff. I think it's just a case of having somebody to have a look around. I say Warm Wales have got some stuff which is great, and we'll pull some things together. Yeah, lovely. Good.
Suzanne is next, David.
Sorry?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, fabulous. Yeah, I've been just listening to the results of the report because obviously I can't see it on screen for some reason. But anyway,
No.
I was able to absorb it. My main concern is when I did the survey was the transparency and getting the information out to people because in this little area that I live, I can guarantee not one person knows about net zero. Or has any inclination what 10 years will bring or how it'll be brought in. And I do have serious concerns because they are over 55 and not everybody's very internet savvy. What's been done really to reach everybody with the options that's going to be available? Because surely with this sort of target for net zero, it's going to be huge, really, especially for some of us here who are struggling on with old boilers and they keep fixing them and fixing them and fixing them. And we keep thinking to ourselves, well, eventually these boilers have to go because they're not going to be appropriate.
And that's the thing. I think there's something there about information showing case studies. So we were actually and I were at Vale Glamorgan recently, and they've done a lovely retrofit of a older person's block. You know, they put salt share on there with batteries and stuff. It's really nice piece of work. So we made a video, and it's going to be coming out in the next 2 weeks or so.
That will come out to me, will it? So
well, we'll make sure it's go out on email, on an email with tenants as well and social media. But the idea is, but what Vale Glamorgan had was they had tenants coming round from other areas on it, like an inspection to come and see it all, because it's like this is the first one we've done. You know, plan to do more of these, and so the tenants that were there, I think that's a landlord responsibility, can do more to give people a chance to, I call it touch and feel, you know, touching and feeling the solar panels, but you know what I mean, seeing it in action, seeing how it's laid out. Where the batteries were put was quite nice, you know. So
I also noticed that they use very good word in that notification or information shouldn't come out once the work has started, and that it should be pre the work being done, which would be quite sensible, but not the whole world follows sensible rules, do they really? And I'm quite sure that's something that I would be very keen to insist upon, and that these sort of changes I directed to people long time before the work
Yeah,
started
no,
to
great,
give
great,
them a chance to absorb it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anyone here from the Pobble Group, but they talk about when they did the work in Penderry and Swansea.
Yeah,
You know, they had an initial amount of people who were up for it, certain people who weren't
Yeah.
against it. And the most powerful thing was the people who had the work done were starting to tell everybody, I've got all this now and it's great, and my bills have come down. And
yeah,
that did more for the Pobble Group's conversion of people, you know,
Yeah.
because we call it member get member, you know, somebody
Mhm.
then tells somebody else who then tells somebody else. And I
Yeah.
think this type of stuff, we never see things, touch and feel, see a demo of it and stuff's really important, you know.
Yeah, I think that's what I've picked up from the survey, from my point of view,
Yeah.
is that there is to be a transparency, and communication is abysmal at times, to be quite honest.
Yeah, and some of it also, I know some of the comms people, they'll be disappointed that it says 72% have received no information.
Yeah,
Some people will have. There's no doubt that some of them, because I
Yeah.
know I've seen some of the work. It's just hasn't maybe hit the target, or people haven't realised, or you know,
Yeah.
it's not about using the word net zero. It could be about energy efficiency improvements or affordable water,
Yeah.
but it's just
Simplified language,
Yeah,
basically, because
it's
people
not hit the
just
mark.
don't really
Yeah.
realise the jargon and that's in all things. If it's simplified, then it's something people think, oh, I can relate to that. They'll read it, won't they? But if it's in jargon that's a bit highfalutin, they're not interested from the start.
No. So, Fiona, you've mentioned something on the side here, find out how local authorities prioritise, and it's very much individual local authorities, their own plans. Some are more ahead than others. Some of them are starting from a different position. Like I say, it's a housing association who, if you remember, in actually just grid, it was A to G, G being pretty terrible, A being the idea, the optimal energy efficiency. You know, they were starting with all their properties already at C, whereas some of the stock transfers, some of the councils who've got a lot of traditional homes, you know, a lot of older properties, valley terraces, things like that, they're starting from a lower position. And so
Yeah.
I think Dave O'Connor's put the powers to prioritising those who are off grid and below C. Seems quite a sensible approach, that, you know, let's bring the worst up first. But it's not always the most efficient way, Fiona. As I just wanted to say, sometimes it's easier to go in once and do all the work in one property, one set of scaffolding, one set of telling you what's happening, one set of disruption. You
Yeah.
know, in terms of your wallpaper and your garden get churned up.
This is a big thing about the disruption. I mean, the elder people, you're not going to be very keen about the disruption if they can see a genuine reason for it, and i.e. they're going to save money, then they won't care about the wallpaper.
No, but it goes back to, do you do all the work at once, or do you do half the work for more people and then come back and do the rest of the work later?
It's a dilemma.
Yeah. It's a real dilemma as to what the priorities are, which I think was...
Also, just to add to that, and part of the reason I ask is, from my knowledge in a few local authorities, there isn't a lot of consultation happening with genuinely within communities and civil society to actually see where the appetite is. So rather than saying, oh, we'll make the decision and then we hope that communities come on board, rather than like genuinely engaging with communities to see where the appetite is. Because what we do know as well is where this works best is where it's co-produced with communities. And I guess that's what I'm interested in, is like, that doesn't seem to be the way that local authorities are approaching it, even though we all know that it should be.
Yeah, the WHQS says they've got till the 31st of March next year to put those plans in place, to have all the homes assessed, to have a plan, and therefore they're working on that. And so some of them won't know their prioritised plan, or which communities are going to be done first, or which ones. So no, it's part of the WHQS deadlines that they're working on them now. And say some might like have shared it, like Powys. Some, you know, Cardiff Council is a massive landlord. Is it 15,000 homes? You know, they're gonna.
And their target is 2,000. I think Cardiff Council's target is 2,000, but there's nothing available anywhere about how they're choosing those. And from what I can see at the moment, it does seem to be very. What deadline did you say that was? End of March.
So 31st of March is where you've got to have done whole home surveys, updated data business plan. I've got a slide on it I can send you. It's part of a WHQS series where they've got, WHQS got a lot of deadlines over the 10 years of what you've got to do by when. And most of the most of the plans and the planning and costings and stuff are next March, so that everybody knows how you're going to fund it. You know, well, not even how you fund it. What's the bill first, and what's the plan for each one. I think it's 2 years to have a individual plan for each property. So it might be that you know what needs to be done on the house, but you've got another year to work out what you're going to do. But yeah, if anyone's interested in that, I've got some material on that. Yeah, it's good.
Thank you.
I've lost track of where we are in the comments, and does anybody else want to say anything or any surprises? I would say also we're going to add some more commentary in from the TPAG group. So there was some interesting stuff like water butts. Somebody said, love one, but the height will be key to me, because I can't bend down and it can't be on the floor. You know, the tap can't be on the floor type thing. It would need to be on a plinth, I think the word was, or platform, so that I could actually access it correctly. They're the sort of detail I think is really important that we need to get into planners who are making these decisions. Oh yeah, what about, yeah, it's a requirement of WHQS. Great, but the difference for that person would be it mounted, you know, between using it and not using it. And that to me is the heart of stuff with net zero, is we need people to use the stuff. We need people to use it well. If you don't get that type of little detail wrong, right, ends up a wasted spend. And I think that would apply to many, many examples as we decarbonize, you know. Yeah, £39 a little, yeah. Actually, I would make a quick poll on this, right? So the new requirements on it say water butts come just that plastic molded, you know, probably from somewhere else in the world. WHQS says you've got a sticker on them explaining things like Legionnaires and how to use them correctly, and possibly like a QR code. And we've wondered whether to develop some templates for landlords that wouldn't just say risks, but actually how to get the best out of a water butt, how to make sure keep your water butt healthy, different languages, things like that, and wondered whether that would be something valuable to go on these water butts, because they won't come with anything. So if anyone does have any views on that, whether you think TPAG could have any role in that, it's, you know, we know people who are really passionate about, you know, getting the best out of water butts, how to use them correctly, how to keep them healthy. I've got some really good people, like, you know, I know who are bilingual as well. We could do other languages, yeah, we'll see how they go over the next few years. Yeah, Grace, you said about user friendly, you know, those little things, that adaptations to make sure these technologies work. Ben.
Hi, David. Yeah, thank you very much for the invite. Just to introduce myself, I'm really sorry. In order to be able to attend, I've had to sit in a cafe. So my video's off, and I hope there's not too much background noise for you all and you can hear me okay. But I'll plough on, but please wave because I can see you if you can't hear me. Just to introduce myself, I work for National Energy Action, so National Fuel Poverty Charity across Wales, England and Northern Ireland. And I wonder if I could pick up a few things with you and your colleague after this call. There's so much, I think, here that we share in terms of the concerns and some of the issues that have been raised. There's some excellent organisations that provide direct advice and support to people across Wales, including Warm Wales, and I see Rachel in the chat, who's obviously represented, which is fantastic. So it'd be useful to pick up a bit about that. But in addition, just to highlight something that people may be aware of, and if not, might find helpful, is the Welsh Government has recently relaunched its kind of main scheme to help tackle fuel poverty. It's known as the Warm Homes Programme. And in the first instance, that's now just made up of one scheme, which is Nest. It's a revised version of that, which is essentially a demand-led scheme that can help not only provide advice to people across Wales, but actually help provide free energy efficiency improvements. Now, it's not targeted at social housing, as you'll know, because there are other schemes and support mechanisms in place for social housing. But given obviously your report also focuses on private renter sector too, it is there for private rented tenants as well as owner occupiers. But what's quite interesting is that they have made sure that they're targeting at those in the worst circumstances, so those on the lowest incomes living in the least efficient homes in Wales. and they're significantly increasing the spend that they're able to provide per home going forward in order to enable them to provide multiple measures. So for example, they could look at then how you can sustainably heat your home going forward, as well as what energy efficiency improvements can be made to be able to reasonably reduce the amount of energy you need to pump into the house in the first place, be that, you know, different types of insulation and all the rest of it. But I noticed in your report there's a comment from somebody about windows as well, and for the first time, windows and doors potentially can be included in those measures, where not doing so would otherwise adversely affect the other things that they're looking to install. So it might just be worth linking folk to the new Nest Schemes website on the chat. So I'll drop that in a moment in case that's of help to anybody. But more broadly, I'd love to chat to you both a bit more about some of the other concerns that we can raise from a kind of wider campaigning and advocacy perspective. So anything related to affordability, minimum energy efficiency standards, concern around the potential knock-on impacts on rents, and everything to do with kind of smart meters and prepay and all of that. So I've dropped you both an email, and it'd be great to chat.
Yeah,
I'll drop this in. I'll drop the nesting into the chat here in case that's helpful for any of your other attendees as well.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you for that. And I know Akshat, I think, is already, you've been on our radar for a bit in terms of our collaboration.
That's right, we've met. Yeah.
And I think collaborating on some of the stuff. The other thing also for everyone else here, if there's questions you feel like we need to be asking, you know, this is an annual survey. We want to vary questions. Some we want to keep consistency, to track them, but also some, you know, we want to add to or innovate on these questions to ask the real things that matter, you know. I think we've done EPC a lot recently, and I think we'll leave that for the moment. I think that's something I'd like to do more in the PRS sector in the future. Yeah. So Sam, don't know how to put your hand up. Just have a go. Sam, we're in the last minute, so just say what you feel like. Yeah.
All I want to say is I'm a disabled tenant, and one of my meters is outside. Okay, and I can't work because of my disability. I'm epileptic and have another disability, which meant I was originally a prepay customer. Prepay didn't work for me because my meter's outside and I still have seizures. So obviously I can't go out to a meter that doesn't always connect because of where I live. So there's not great mobile phone signal. And my combined fuel costs are the same as my rent. And because of I'm a legacy benefit claimant, I don't get universal credit. So I don't get warm home discount. I don't get anything. My wife has to go out to work. She can't be my full-time carer. So I'm that edge case that slips through the gaps. The entire system is flawed. I get a contributions-based benefit because I used to work, because I'm an engineer by trade. Yeah. So
no, I know I think Amanda's saying in the comments there as well, she's legacy benefit. She did get warm home discount last.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Last year, this year we didn't get it because it was stopped. That's quite correct. But say like the extra payments that people get, we never got them. So I get employment and support allowance, and I get PIP. Yeah, I can't get anything else. No. It's crazy.
No. And I think the reform of welfare, it just feels like time and time again, it needs to be done to create a fairer system. It's not working at the moment. It's not working, you know. So are you still on prepaid, did you say? Or
no, I'm now on pay monthly, but obviously my monthly payments are £380 something a month. My rent is 450, so I'm £70 short a month of my rent, and I'm in social housing.
Yeah. I mean, without social housing as well,
and I'm like nearly £3,000 in debt because I can't afford to pay anymore. No. So if you can imagine, I'm constantly, and thankfully my energy supplier is understanding, and my wife is not earning minimum wage. No. My wife works for a pharmaceutical company as a lab technician, but she isn't earning great money because she works in Tredegar. So think to yourself, she works in the valleys, so she's not, and I mean, if I was working, we'd be fine.
Yeah,
But I can't work because I've got epilepsy and I've got a brain injury.
Yeah.
So I can't work. I can't drive. I can't work.
And it's well, I think that's why that, you know, the benefit system just doesn't work and it's not helping. It's meant to be there to.
And you're vilified in the press. You are vilified.
Oh, I know.
Because
I
do
think
I look disabled?
I know. I think you're preaching to the converted here in terms of this room. We know the absolute horror and the way people are portrayed in this, and it's just disgusting, quite frankly. You know.
And this is unfortunately the situation, and this is what I'm trying to sort of just express the fact that I can't things, and I understand why people are skeptical of the smart meter, because there is a fear that at any point they can press a button and switch your electric off.
Yeah.
Or they can decide, do you know what, you're in too much debt, I'm going to put you on prepayment, and now you're going to have to pay back all that money.
And that's why I think we need.
And every week, every week we're gonna bump that on to every top up you put on. When you top up 20 quid, we're taking £7.50 off you, so you're only going to get £12.50 worth of electric.
I don't disagree. I think we had a very detailed reply from somebody on this, and it made us think a lot about this issue and where we need to get. I think what I'd like to do is develop some knowledge about collectively what they can and can't do, so that people are more aware of their rights. But also, I think we're in a time of change. We've got Westminster elections by December time. Welsh government, it's 2 years. Yeah, it's got 2 years left on it. I think we do need to work with others, like Warm Wales, say others, NEA and stuff, to have a manifesto of rights for smart meters, things like this, so that they can't just switch you off. They can't just turn you without permission to a prepay meter, things like this. And I think we've got to develop some with others, some manifesto style or demands for better, to see better and better protection for tenants, you know.
Oh, absolutely, I agree. I mean, when I was in private rented accommodation, I had no protection.
No, exactly.
7 years I was in, and my house ended up burning down because of bad wiring.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. I should be surprised, but I'm not.
So yeah, I mean, I've been there, I've done that. I bought the t-shirt. I've been through emergency accommodation, ended up thankfully in social housing, which me and my wife will never move out of. But yeah, I mean, I think that's why it painted the picture of younger people in private rented accommodation, because it's so difficult to get into social housing. And the ladder and the points ladder, because it is a ladder, and you need so many points. And because of my disability and because of the situation we found ourselves in, we scored so many points, and then we had a house fire, and we had to involve environmental health, and then the house was condemned. We were then emergency accommodation, so it pushes you up. And then they've got no choice. Then they've got no choice. It's like, oh, well, what are we going to do with them? They've got kids. What are we going to do? And then I'm reminding them of their legal obligation, and I've got to nag them. I'm not going to name the council. But from what I've said, I'm sure you can imagine where it is.
But I think, you know, Amanda's put the point on the side there that her disabled daughter, they've been told she's got to make her own daughter homeless before they even consider housing and stuff. It's just
it's a crazy situation. It's a crazy situation where we've all got to be in this position where you've got to almost get to the brink of breaking before someone takes pity on you. And I feel sorry for the staff, because I'm sure the staff become so desensitized that you're just a number.
Well, also if you look at a place like Cardiff, you know, you've got 15,000 people on a list, you know, it's not even personal anymore, because they're just overwhelmed with.
Can you imagine dealing with that every day, though? People's lives falling apart, and then you as a person, you're having to deal with that. You can't take that home. You can't deal with that. So you've got to sort of desensitize yourself. You've got to shut that off. But then you as a person, as a user,
and everybody, the reality is nearly everybody deserves, you know, a home.
Humanity, and and everyone deserves.
But I mean,
to be
everyone
treated like
deserves
a
a home. I
human.
mean, by on the list, everybody, everyone's got a story. Everyone's got a reason why they need social housing, and it's a very, very difficult task, and hence why we've done some polls on it before and get people's views. And Welsh Government are considering allocations at the moment. I'm just conscious of time, and I'm also losing people, I think, because I think people have got to go now. I'd like to carry on this conversation. I'll stay online for a bit, but I think I need to formally probably close the session, as in just let everyone go without feeling bad about it. I'm glad you found it useful. The full report is on our website already. It'll be on our socials, and we can, it's been in the chat as well, I believe, if anyone wants it. So I've just stopped the recording. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, but I think George raised